G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome to, yes, that's right, we're having a look at a Spitfire today. Well, wouldn't you know, finally after 120, 130 videos on the channel, finally, we're taking out a Spitfire. It's only taken me, a year and a bit since I've had this computer, uploading content decently regularly on vehicles, that we're actually doing a Spitfire. That's that's quite a stretch. But today what we're going to have a look at is the Mark 22. Yes, that's right. For me, I quite like the Mark 22. It's a good plane. Of course, it's a Spitfire, but it is a very, very solid plane. And once you get all the upgrades, like I'm close to now, it becomes a really, really nice plane overall. It's got very, very good climb rate. It's got decent guns, and it's got a really good low-speed turn rate. But one of the things that you might be surprised about is its high-speed turn rate. It's actually quite garbage. You might think, well, that's not very Spitfire-like, but if you think of it closely, every Spitfire from the Mark 9 up isn't really a proper turn fighter. It's more of an energy fighter. So rather than solely turning with the enemy, at some speeds they'll actually be able to outmaneuver you. Planes like the Lavochkins, planes like the some of the Doras, the K4, some of the G series 109s will actually be able to turn with you. And that's actually quite worrying if you're in a Spitfire, because that's probably one of the things that you're best at. As a Spitfire in general. Now, this particular Spitfire has one of the highest top speeds I've ever seen at altitude. It tops out at something like 700 kilometers per hour, but you can consistently do 500 without many issues, which means you can almost run away from Dornier 335s. That's extremely impressive for a prop. Now, the Dornier 335 is perhaps well known as the fastest German prop plane in the entire game. It's very, very underrated, and that's because on release, it wasn't good. It had a really, really bad rudder. If you think about the MiG-19's rudder, maybe double that, and you have something in the ballpark of what it was like to fly the Dornier 335. It was nothing short of miserable. And since that's been fixed, the Dornier 335 is actually quite a decent plane to fly. If you keep your speed, you keep your altitude, you can actually do some really, really good work. But in this match, I think we actually do go up against the 335. Maybe it's the wrong match, but you'll see how well the Spitfire performs at altitude. And because we're on Operation Bulge, ooh, what's this? We get a nice altitude advantage already, because the map sits at an elevation. It already sits at about 1,600 meters, so there's 1,600 meters that you don't have to climb. And one thing about Spitfires, particularly the Griffin Spitfires, that is, every Spitfire in the game past the Mark 9 that's not a premium. So the Mark 15, I think, the Mark 17, the Mark 22 and the Mark 24. They're the main ones. They're the ones in the regular tree. And of course, I believe the Seafire FR47, although that's not optimized for high altitude, I believe. But this particular plane has absolutely insane high altitude performance, and because of the map, we actually get to use that. Now, the Germans also have some pretty impressive planes. They have the Ta-152H, they have the Ta-152C3, they have the K4, which has a monster climb rate. Remember that K4 video? Yeah, we're going to see some of them, and they're not flying their plane properly, so they'll end up losing. But we'll keep the spoilers to a minimum, shall we? So, the Spitfire Mark 22. Why am I flying the Spitfire Mark 22 of all planes? Well, let me tell you a little story. Many of you, to my let's say to my dismay, have called me, for example, the new Orange Doom. Now, I understand that Orange had a lot of negative crosses to his name, I guess. But there were certain things that Orange did that I really, really liked. And knowing him personally, I don't think he's a terrible person. It may sound funny, but if you get to know him, he comes off a bit rough, a little bit arrogant, I guess. But if you get to know him, he's just a stubborn bastard, you know. He's a pretty good bloke if you get to know him. But unfortunately, that's not what everyone saw. Regardless, Orange, he about a year ago decided while he was drunk to delete a bunch of videos off his channel, and that made me very, very sad because I enjoyed a lot of Orange's sort of 2015, 2016 videos, and they're what got me through some pretty tough times. The end of my school, the beginning of university, you know, stuff like that. And it was really, really nice to have someone to sort of go to and watch. And I guess that's what inspired me to do this content, I guess. The whole thing, the whole channel. And now that we're almost at 10,000 subscribers, it's incredible. It really is. Now, one of Orange's videos, one of the videos that's on his channel, is a Mark 22 Spitfire. And I thought, well, you know, he's done well in this. He's gotten 6 kills and he's flying really well. I didn't realize that he flew props that well back in the day. I guess tanks made him a bit impatient, but it was really, really interesting to see him fly a Griffin Spit against Russians and at low altitude and do so well. And it was really, really, I guess, inspiring for me to go and fly this thing. So here I am. Here I am fighting a Taiwan 52H at altitude. And because of my high altitude performance, I can actually start to catch this guy. Now, he's gone and made a couple of passes on me, but my high altitude acceleration has absolutely just made the best of him. And you can see I'm closing the distance, albeit very slowly. And I get an absolutely wizard shot here. I managed to snipe him from something like 1.4 or 1.04 rather. And yeah, that's a great start in my opinion to the Spitfire. Have a look at that shot. That's just, oh man, this is why I love my Spits. Those Hispanos, they don't always do well, but when they connect really, really well. And it's, my God, it's refreshing. It's so good. But right now, we're taking that energy fighting to its core, I guess, in the form of or to its purest form, rather, in the form of a boom and zoom. Now, I'm with my squad mate Philip, who I've known for a very long time, and he's down there fighting that 109. There's another 109 between him and me, and there's a Focke-Wulf 190. So I decide that the most threatening plane is the Focke-Wulf 190, simply because he's got the ability to boom and zoom us a lot better than the K4. And it looks like one of those K4s are going back to base, and Philip has dealt with the other one, or a squad mate has dealt with the other one. And I get a really easy kill on an AFK Dora, which was, you know, kind of sad, to be honest. I was expecting a bit more of a fight, but there's kill number 2. Nice and easy. So here I am, chasing this BF 109, and Philip is pursuing as well. Now, Philip isn't spaded, but he's got a few upgrades. Now, you can see the difference that engine injection makes, but you know, it guzzles a lot more fuel. And so him taking more fuel than me for the endurance leaves me needing to go back to base because I've been wasting my fuel, I guess, or wepping till I die sort of thing. So I just clean up a little AA there and then head back to base. Slight climb, just in case I need to burn a lot of fuel or take an engagement, and also to replenish my ammunition because I know that I'm going to need it. Now, I think about going for those bombers. I pitch up a little bit, but I realize that I'm not going to make it in time for them to get back to their airfield, which is a bit disappointing for me because I really, really don't want those bombers going into late game. Thankfully, they weren't nearly as cancerous as I thought they were going to be, and I guess that's a little bit lucky for me. The problem with bombers is more that they end up climbing to space and acting like complete cancer, which is really, really frustrating, and it ruins the prop gameplay a little bit, just as the TU4 seemed to ruin the Hunter. And funny that I mentioned this, but one of the things that Orange talked about in his Mark 22 video from, I think it's from 2015, was bomber spam. And back then there was no 4 bomber limit on a match. It was all bomber spam all the way, and teams full of B-17s and B-29s. I remember those days. I used to be a bomber pilot, and I used to fly B-17s, and we used to be in a squad of 6 or a formation of 6 or 7 bombers. And I remember there was one match on Hokkaido where I thought, you know what, I'm going to climb off to the side a little bit, and I ended up climbing right into their climb path, which was quite funny. That was like late 2015. I remember doing that. My God, times have changed, haven't they? But for me, I want those bombers out of the match, but my fuel and ammo situation just isn't letting me. I need to go back to base because this thing just guzzles fuel. And that's one of the issues, one of the weaknesses, I suppose, with the Mark 22 and all the Griffin Spitfires. And in fact, most Spitfires in general seem to guzzle fuel, and it gives them a really low endurance for their performance level. So, for example, if you took a Meteor Mark 8 with minimum fuel, you would still get the endurance of 8 minutes, but you wouldn't lose as much performance because you've only got 8 minutes of fuel. You've got that less weight, I guess. You've got, say, 50% less weight as opposed to if you took 20 minutes of fuel. Now, with a Spitfire, every time you hit that WEP, you're draining more than, I guess it feels like you're draining almost double your fuel. And one of the things that you've got to be careful of is, are you taking enough fuel? Are you taking too much fuel? And where's the right balance? So for me, in the Mark 22, I like to take 20 minutes of fuel. Simply because I find that to be a decent balance where most of the matches will either end or, be reasonably close. If I had a choice, I would take 25 minutes of fuel because I feel that that's a little bit better. Maybe, a little bit more fuel would be nice, but just that little bit of endurance is what I need because I need the performance as well. Now, this plane is very fast, but it's also, it needs to turn. And when you've got extra weight on you, it's almost like taking bombs with you. You might as well strap a 250 kilo bomb if you're going to take 30 minutes of fuel. That's probably how it feels. All for about an extra 2.5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of extra fuel. And honestly, that's not a lot. That's really not a lot of fuel to take. If you just think about it, 10 minutes is perhaps climbing. And then you've got your 15 or so minutes of dogfighting, and then you've got your 5 or 10 minutes to return to base. And that's not a lot. That's if you get caught out with 3 minutes of fuel or 2 minutes of fuel, and you need to land, it's pretty tough. And that's something you see at top tier jets as well. You find that you have to take 30 minutes of fuel in the F100 because the afterburner just guzzles that much fuel. It's ridiculous. Even the MiG-19, I used to love taking minimum fuel in my jets, but unfortunately I can't because the endurance of such guzzling vehicles is just too low. And unfortunately the Mark 22 happens to be one of them. Now, one thing that I would like to bring to your attention is Nigel, or the lack of Nigel. Now, I would like to see the old pilot model back just for the nostalgia. I know it's petty, I know it's small, and I do appreciate the upgrade, but I would really love to see that just because of the, I guess, cultural value. It has a small little culture, like a little meme in War Thunder. Kind of like Tachanka in Rainbow Six Siege. The useless operator. But in this case, it's Nigel, and his face is absolutely gorgeous. Can we get a... if you guys are still watching to this point, thank you very much. But I'd like you to put a heart for Nigel in chat in the comments. So just comment Nigel and then a love heart, and we'll see how many of them we can get in the chat. So yeah, free our Nigel. Anyway, returning back to the battle. So it's pretty much just me flipping that 82. Yeah. Me, Philip, and that 84. Well, no more. The 84 just died to the K4. So I'm on 2 kills. Philip's on, I believe, 1 or 2. And there are a lot of enemies left. And we need to kill all of them. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a slight climb. I'm not climbing too aggressively because if the 109 is above me, he's not going to engage me. He's just going to run. And I really don't want to run. I want a quick engagement. I know I can beat him if I lower my throttle and play my cards right. And hopefully I can kill him before all the others turn up. And that's the plan. And if things go south, I've got Philip to back me up, who's only a couple of kilometers away. Now, I can't spot that 109, so I'm just heading in, looking out for stuff that might be a bit low. And I'm just a little bit concerned about where these enemies might be. And there he is. He's popped up 2 kilometers in front of me. I go for a quick little head on, and I can see him wobbling all over the place. So he must have Brazilian internet or something. I twiddle the wings a little bit, roll over, and I keep going in the vertical because I know that I'm able to sustain low turning, or my low speed turning a lot better than he is. I duck underneath him because I know his nose isn't going to go down as fast as mine. Pop some flaps, give it a little kick of rudder, and go for the lineup. And there we go. There's a G56 coming in. I need to quickly head on, pop the flaps down. I go down to pick up a little bit of speed. I try and avoid his shells. And there you can see them streaking past the tail. Almost got me there. And the K4 is coming in back for another go. He gets a little clip on me, but nothing serious. I roll in towards him so he can't keep up. Roll down a little bit to pick up some speed. Roll underneath him to try and get him to commit. And there we go. He's made a full commit. I keep rolling underneath him. And then I roll over on top. Keep spamming the flaps a little bit. And nothing. Nothing. I don't know what happened. I should have gotten a kill there. But I guess Gaijin said no. So here comes the K4 back for another pass, and I can see that his nose is not going to pick up in time. G56 is nowhere to be seen, so I quickly commit to this 109, and then I go down for the Heinkel. I need to take out that Heinkel just in case he climbs to space, and just to get him out of the way because he might touch my PP, and I really don't want that. The G56 is far enough from that 84, but the 84 is going to go down sooner or later. Actually, there he goes now, floating down to the ground, and it's just me and Philip. So, there's 4 kills. I have 100 rounds of ammo left. There's a G56 above me, but I'm faster. So what do? I look to push a quick head-on to see if I can get him to commit to an engagement, and it looks like he does. I get a little hit on him, but nothing serious. I roll over him to try and get him to commit so that Philip can snap him up. And there we go. There's a G56 sort of hot on my tail. I'm wiggling my wings, and he can't keep up with the energy. That's because I kept my energy. I didn't turn. I didn't lose my throttle, anything like that. So I'm able to pull vertical maneuvers like that. And it's really, really nice that you can pull this stuff off in a Griffin Spitfire because it accelerates so damn well. Now, I rip a flap there because I'm impatient, and I try and swoop in and get this kill. And I've overshot. Now, this is the main weak spot of the Griffin Spitfire. It retains energy so well that you can force an overshoot pretty easily. And whilst this G56 was too damaged to do anything, and I'm under the impression that he's going to go down there until he pulls off, there's not a whole lot I can do. And Hispano's let me down once, and there we go. Out of ammo, but I've got an ace. And there's my match in the Spitfire. It's an ace. What a way. What a way to get some nice kills in the Spitfire, you know. Such a wonderful plane. Now, for me, that'll be all I get for kills, but we've still got this Heinkel 177 to deal with. What do? Philip and I decide that, you know, the best way to end this match is to go for the ram. And we try and chase this Heinkel back to his base, and he's decided to sort of go for a little flanking route. He's decided to be a little bit cancerous. And this is the problem that I have with bombers in RRB, when they're played a little bit stupidly like that. I probably could have gone for him and tried to take him out, but I decided not to earlier on in the game, and this is what the problem is. If you don't deal with the bombers early, the later they are and the later that you come across them in the game, the worse off it is for your team in general. And I've already spoken about bombers. If you want to have a look at my video, you're more than welcome to. I discussed some things that I dislike about how bombers work in ARB and some potential fixes for them. Now, this particular guy decides that it's a good idea to go for his airfield, and that really pisses me off because I want this kill, I want this match to be over, and I want it as a win. Because I've gotten an ace, Philip's gotten 3 kills. If he gets this, that's 9 kills between the two of us. And that's almost the entirety of the enemy team killed by us, by 2 people. Such a feat. But, of course, it takes a Spitfire to do that, because Spitfire is the best plane in the game. Also, if you're watching now, comment the Spitfire is the best plane of World War II, and Wereaboos suck. There we go. There's another one. Thank you to everyone who's watched until now. It's incredible. Thank you very much. But here we go. We're by the enemy airfield, and I don't want to die, and I don't want Philip to die. Philip has other plans, though. He wants to go in for that kill. He's getting some hits. He might get a crit here. And I'm trying to stay away from that airfield AA so I don't get killed in case Philip goes down. Now, an issue for me with airfield AA is that it protects players like this, who, whilst they may have good intentions, they may just want to live, they may just want to land and bail, tend to prolong matches, tend to prolong grinds, and I don't really particularly enjoy that in matches. Thankfully, this guy tries to turn in towards his airfield and pancakes into the ground, giving Philip the kill, and that's 9 kills between us. It's incredible. It takes a Spitfire. And there he goes. The customary dogfight at the end, with no guns, of course, because we're not about that. So yeah, there we go. 5 kills. An ace game. And a massive carry to that. Now, the Spitfire is a very capable plane, and I do love it dearly. It's perhaps one of the best planes in the game, and this whole video is inspired by Salted Orange himself. So, Tim, if you're watching, this is what you've made, mate. This is what you've made. And thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's been incredible. But we're not going to stop here, that's for sure. Take care, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.